এটা ক্যানেলের পাশে এসেছি এখানে রিক্সাও দেখা যাচ্ছে।
¿A qué hora dijo, hijo?
7:30.
এইটাই ক্যানাল ট্যুর তো নাকি? কালকে কেন করবে? আজকে দিচ্ছি আমরা, আজকে করা যাবে না?
1 ঘন্টা
এখান থেকে ক্যানাল ট্যুর হয়। এখন করে
দেখতে হবে
না, লোক কিনছে তো দাঁড়িয়ে
কটায় ছাড়ে সেটা করবে।
চ
Today, so give it up for Oscar too, please. We have a few important rules aboard this boat. The first and most important one is we'll be going under lots of... Så skal man række lapperne langt i vejret nu, og så skal jeg nok sørge for det. It's an English-only boat. That's my favorite kind of boat. I love you guys already. No? Is that a hand? No Spanish. No Espanol. No, definitely not. Old Danish playhouse. It's designed by an architect duo called Lundgaard and Tranbjerg. And it opened in 2008. It premiered with a production of Shakespeare's Hamlet. Why? Because something is rotten in the state of Denmark, of course. That is a quote from Hamlet, guys. Alright, never mind. Siger du til mig? Nej, du skal sætte mig. Coming up on our right, there are some very new buildings in the making, but the island they're on is an old man-made island called the Paper Island, because back in the days when we had a bunch of printing presses and newspapers in Copenhagen, we needed somewhere to dump all the paper for it. So this island was devoted to the storage of paper for the printing presses. And now the buildings are turning into luxury apartments. And those will have the most expensive square meters in all of Denmark. So even though I get to see these buildings from the outside every single day, it is highly unlikely that I will ever get to see those from the inside. Unless I get a sugar daddy, of course. And I am already working on this, guys, so relax, alright? New public park, and this park will be called the Opera Park. Wonder why? Probably because in front of us we have Copenhagen's Opera House. This is designed by an architect called Henning Larsen, and it opened in 2005. And the internal structure of the Opera House is supposed to mimic the structure of an anatomical heart. The walls inside are also clad in maple wood, varnished like string instruments. And this is supposed to symbolize the love of music that takes place within the building. And if you look inside the glass foyer, you can also see 3 glistening chandeliers. And these are made by a Danish-Icelandic artist called Olafur Eliasson. And later on the tour, we'll also be going under a bridge designed for the city. And there. They're not waving back. Some people are so rude. And the internal structure of the opera house... Oh, I said that already. Never mind. But the opera house also has 14 stories all in all, 5 of which are below water level. So if you're sitting in the main auditorium watching the opera, you can actually brag to your friends you're watching an underwater opera, which sounds way cooler than it actually is. But your friends are not going to know that, so go for it. And also on our right, further in the distance, there is a funny looking building with a smoking period helped impose the weapons embargo on the country of Iraq. And now the seal is a museum. So if you've ever wondered what on earth the inside of a submarine looks like, you can visit the seal and find out. Also to our right on water, there is a big military-looking ship. It says F352 on the side of it. And that is a frigate called Pillerskram, and it served during the Cold War from 66 to 88. And Pillerskram is also now a museum. But Pillerskram is maybe more famous for an accident that happened here in Denmark in the 80s. One day, the captain was out sailing the ship, and then during a drill, he pressed a wrong button. And this wrong button launched a missile. And the missile went flying into an area in Western Zealand and landed in an area full of summer houses. It ended up damaging 134 summer houses, 4 of which were completely ruined. Thankfully, nobody got hurt during this. It was winter, so no one was at their summer house at the moment. But the Danish media did name the missile the Whoopsie missile because of it. With the Danish flag on it. And the Danish flag is the oldest continuously used flag of any nation in the world. And we are stupidly proud of that, and also obsessed with our own flag. During the Middle Ages, it fell from the heavens, and then it landed in Estonia. And then we decided that is definitely the flag of Denmark. And the flagpole is on a little green patch. If you look closer at the green patch, you will eventually spot some cannons too. This place is called Battery Sixes after Christian VI. And from Battery Sixes every day, we fire off 2 cannons. One at sunrise and one at sunset. To signal to ships, they need to raise the flags in the morning and lower them at night. There is just one issue with the sunrises in Copenhagen. They occur very early in the morning in summer, 4 AM sometimes, and the neighbors weren't too happy to be woken up that early by cannonballs. So it was actually officially agreed and decided that the sun never rises before 8 AM in the morning in Copenhagen, so that everybody has a chance at their beauty sleep. Saloon. And it used to be a shipyard, and that was actually the biggest workplace in all of Denmark for several decades. But now Refshaløen is more a cultural district. This is where we have Copenhagen's biggest street food market at the end of it, a nice contemporary museum. We have recurring summer festivals out there every summer. They're setting up one right now actually. And last but not least, this is where we, in 2014, hosted the Eurovision Song Contest! Woo! I got one woo! Thanks for that. At the end of Refshaløen, there's also a crane in front of us, and that is a bungee jumping crane. And when they first opened as a PR stunt, they offered anyone willing to do the jump naked to have it for free. If there are 2 things we love more in Denmark than beer, it's probably getting naked and getting free stuff. So we had around 300 people lining up stark naked outside the crane on the first day, ready for a free bungee jump. And that caused so many neighborhood complaints they had to pull back that offer the very next day. Has the Eiffel Tower, and New York has the Statue of Liberty. Copenhagen, though, is a much smaller city. So we also have a very little landmark for you to see. But it is coming up on our right-hand side. It's after we've passed this wooden dock here. And it's half woman, half fish. And wave at the kids, please. And 100% statue. And it is, of course, our Little Mermaid coming up on our right-hand side. There we go, there she is, coming up. And from the boat, you're lucky enough to get a very rare glimpse of her beautiful backside. If you want her front side too, then hold on to your take without her, would it? Coming up on our right, just after this blue and white boat, you can spot two small pavilions. Those are the royal pavilions. It's where the royal family and their guests sit and wait when they need to board the royal ship called Danival. There is one pavilion with a crown on top and one with an onion on top. It is, of course, the royal family who sits inside the crown pavilion. In the meantime, common people, like you and me, the peasants, get to sit inside the one with the onion on top. Yay! Shipping company, and it looks like Maersk were inspired by themselves when they designed the building too. Looks a lot like it's just a bunch of containers stacked very neatly on top of each other. I am pretty sure that's deliberate. You might also recognize the logo that's going across the fence. The blue color in that logo, Maersk decided to patent or trademark. So Maersk now owns a shade of blue, and if you want to use that color, you need to ask Maersk permission first and then pay them a bunch of money. And next, just after Maersk, there are three big old warehouses from back when we had colonies around the world. And the first red brick one is where we kept all the stuff from the West Indies. We had rum, tobacco, coffee and sugar in there. So anything for legal addiction. Nowadays, it's the Royal Cast Collection. That's why you can see some statues looking out at us through the windows. And the statue of David out front of us. The warehouse in the middle is where we kept stuff from Greenland. And the last red warehouse, which for no apparent reason is called the Blue Warehouse, is where we kept stuff from the Golden Coast of Africa. And those two buildings are now apartments and offices. It's mansions for noble families, that's why it doesn't really look like a proper royal castle. The two buildings close to us, on the left is where Queen Margaret lives, on the right is where our Crown Prince and his family lives. And when the flags are up above those buildings, it means they're home. So right now, we can actually see that nobody is home at Amanibold Palace today. Perfect time. Frederick's Church. And it took 145 years to finish that church. But it does also have Scandinavia's biggest church dome. Wow. Fish and all the baby fish can swim in and take shelter from the bigger fish, have a little meal while they're in there, and then once the danger's out of the way, they can swim out again. So we're actually passing hundreds of fish hotels right now. In a few minutes after we've sailed under the next bridge, we'll be sailing into an area called Christianshavn. And that is a residential area, medieval city, into a Renaissance city. And he had taken a little trip to Amsterdam. And then he thought, Amsterdam looks pretty cool. Let's just make a version of that here in Copenhagen. I am sure that this way we can also easily attract a bunch of wealthy Dutch people to move to Copenhagen instead. Settle down here, and that way we can get a lot of their tax money. Genius plan. Bulletproof. Except the Dutch people did not want to live in a smaller version of Amsterdam where they did not speak the language. Makes a lot of sense actually, so it kind of failed. Instead it became an area where local shopkeepers and craftsmen settled down. And it has become a very, very popular area here in Copenhagen. And you will notice once we get in there, it's very Amsterdam-alike. We've got cobblestone streets, we've got narrow, colorful buildings, and we've got a whole bunch of houseboats. So there really is no need to visit Amsterdam whatsoever, guys. On our right, we're also passing a street food market. If you don't know where to go for dinner afterwards, I do actually recommend this spot. My personal favorite in there is the fried chicken sandwich from Poulet. Take notes. You may also have heard of the best restaurant in the whole world called Noma, which is here in Copenhagen. Noma is very expensive, but they've also made a surprisingly affordable burger restaurant. And that is the one inside the building where it says Popple. So if you want a burger engineered by the best restaurant in the whole world, you can head into Popple later and get yourself one. And it's called Our Saviour's Church Tower. It has an external spiral staircase going all the way up it with 400 steps. And it is still accessible to the public. So if you want a really cool view of Copenhagen from above, this is a very fun way to get that. How many are there? You can see a few people hanging out there as we're passing as well, actually. And if you're not quick enough with your camera, you will instead get a picture of the most photographed tree in all of Copenhagen. So you better be quick.
না না ওটা যেটা বাইরে গিয়ে স্টার্টিংয়ে যেটা করলে সেটা ক্যানাল নয়, সেটা বাইরে সি, ওটা ক্যানাল নয়, ওটা অনেকটা বড়।
প্রথম যেদিকে গেছিল বাদিকে
Jeg kan også lige på tværs, før vi skruer op.
Friendship! Friendship!
I'll wait. All right, I'm gonna try the other side then, I guess. How many heard that? Son, the guy who made the chandeliers inside the opera house. It's called the Circle Bridge, and it's a bike and pedestrian bridge. And if it's designed correctly, then what hopefully happens is, instead of just passing straight from A to B through the ridge, you slow down for a second in the middle, so you have time to wave hello to whoever you're passing and acknowledge them, and then pass through. So And now, right in front of us, we have the Black Diamond. And the Black Diamond is the new section of the Royal Danish Library, and it's clad in a mix of black granite and glass. And the facade also tilts 7 degrees towards the water. So if you're here at the right time of day, with just the right kind of light too, the reflection of the water will reflect into the building again and make the whole building shine bright like a diamond. And that is literally why it has its name. In front of us on our slight right, we have blocks. And it's not so difficult to guess what blocks was inspired by, I think. Inside it, among other things, we have the Danish Architecture Center and a playground and a gym and open-air offices and a creative hub. And they made this building because this area of Copenhagen was a little bit dead. So to create more life and community, they made blocks. And it actually worked. And it's made by a Dutch architect studio called Oma. We have King Christian IV's brew house. And a brew house doesn't sound important to a city, but at the time in the Renaissance, we had no sewage system in Copenhagen. So not only did the water taste pretty disgusting, it was also pretty toxic to drink. And instead, for several decades, Copenhagen stayed hydrated, mostly on beer. If you were a public servant or a soldier, you were given 10 liters of beer a day, 2.4 gallons, as an allowance for yourself and your family members too, including the children. Important to mention that the beer back then had a much lower alcohol content, so we didn't have drunk toddlers running up and down the streets of Copenhagen. But that being said, we did actually lose most of the wars we went into in those same decades, so there might still be a slight relation between beer intake and success rate of our wars. Original Christiansborg Palace, because it's burnt down twice since it was built. And behind the walls we have the royal stables, and in there are 20 horses. And now the marble bridge is coming up, so remain seated please. Thank you. And guess what, guys? There is another bridge coming up! Yay! This bridge is the Storm Bridge, and we built this bridge after Sweden stormed Copenhagen and ruined our wooden bridge. Then we built a new, very sturdy bridge. So good luck storming us now, Sweden. It is also the narrowest bridge we have to go through, so it's important for this one that you not only sit down, you also need to keep everything you think of inside. Particularly if you go to the side of the boat, please watch your head still, because now Captain Oscar has to make a very sharp turn. And this is the true test of any good captain. Thankfully, not only is Oscar exceptionally handsome. He is also a pretty decent boat driver, so I think with a bit of luck and all of his expertise, we will make the whole turn with everybody surviving. And a complete boat too. But we are still turning, as you can see and feel. So, anything can still happen. Let's see, he turns. Will he or won't he? Suspense increases. The engine's whirring. Hold your breath, guys. Yes, he's gonna do it! Give it up for Captain Oscar, please! Hero of the hour! More than just a pretty face, isn't he? If only he was filthy rich, too. Coming up on our right, there is an orange building, and that is Thorvaldsen's museum. And Bertel Thorvaldsen is probably the most famous sculptor we ever had in Denmark. He did a bunch of work around Europe. He even did commission work for the Pope at the time. And when he returned to our city, he wanted to donate his body of work to the city of Copenhagen. And in return as a thank you, they built him a museum for all of his stuff. But not only that, Bertel Thorvaldsen himself is also buried in the middle of the building. So it's not just a museum, it is actually also a mausoleum. Ooh, kind of creepy, but pretty cool.
সামনের ছবিটা না খুব সুন্দর দেখাচ্ছে সামনের ছবিটা টাওয়ারটা নিয়ে
And in the distance on our left, there is a guy on a horse. And that guy is Bishop Absalon, who is widely credited to be the founder of Copenhagen in the Middle Ages. But we have since found out that there's been people hanging out here since the Stone Ages. So even though Bishop Absalon takes all the credit for it, it may actually have been Fred Flintstone and his buddies who were the real founders of this city. He's coming up again after the metro elevator, then you get a closer look at Absalon. There he is posing on his horse. We are also getting close to a bridge, so remain seated while you take your pictures, please. Thank you. Yes, I mentioned, it's burned down twice since it was built. And there are actually elements of 5 different castles on the site of Christiansborg. The earliest one, the oldest, is the one that the guy on the horse, Bishop Absalon, made when he first came to town. And it was a royal palace for a very, very long time. But then in 1850, we got democracy! And that is when our parliament, the Prime Minister's office, and the government moved in here instead. You may know of a popular TV show called Borgen. Borgen, of course, takes place inside Christiansborg. That's why the show has its name. And it's actually pronounced with a soft G. We don't like hard consonants in Denmark. So it's pronounced Borgen, not Borgen. You have been saying it wrong this entire time. And the next bridge is coming up, people. Think you know what to do by now? Remain seated, please. Thank you. Oh, it was an Enkel Forge. And then Christian IV turned it into a naval church. And it's also where our Royal Highness, Queen Margaret, got married back in the days. And on our right, there is a very cool Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 commercial. And after that is another building by Christian IV. This is Børsen, Copenhagen's stock exchange. The Tower of Børsen has 4 dragons on it, the tails intertwined into a tip. On top of that, there are 3 crowns, and those represent the Kalmar Union, the old union we had between Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Right-hand side, and it's sand-colored, and then it's got some beautiful green arches. And this is a warehouse, and the king who commissioned that warehouse said, "The most important thing about this warehouse is that my view of it from Christiansborg Palace where I live has to look absolutely stunning." He didn't give many rat's bottoms what the backside of it looked like, so please first appreciate the beautiful front side of the building. It's got arches, it's got an affluence of windows, it's got details, it's got symmetry, it's got everything you could possibly want in a warehouse, doesn't it? Well, then please notice the stark difference once we pass the building and see the back of it. Copenhagen later became our ferry terminal for all the traffic we have between Denmark and Sweden. But then we got a bridge to Sweden, and from 2002 it stopped being a terminal. Since it's been a nightclub and a restaurant, and right now it's a private members club for creatives. If you're from the UK or the US, maybe you know of Soho House. This is the Soho House location in Copenhagen. Third place after Amsterdam and Utrecht. But one day we will rightfully claim our title as the world's best bike city and gain full world domination. But today is not that day, so stay tuned. We are waiting to get back into Nyhavn now. This is also where the author of The Little Mermaid. All right, Hans Christian Andersen's house coming up on our right. So exciting. I'm pointing. Grey building, black balcony, black roof. It's one of the 3 buildings he lived in.
রুফের উপরেও ব্যালকনি রয়েছে। এতক্ষণ নিচে এখন কাঁদছিস কেন?
And the last little Easter egg I want to try and point out is actually easy to miss because it is the narrowest building in all of Copenhagen. But it's coming up on our left, and it's we call it the Pencil House. And I'm going to give you a big fat clue. It's the one just before the white building on the corner, and it is kind of shaped like a pencil, hence the name. And it is, of course, incredibly narrow, hence the narrowest building in all of Copenhagen. And I'm also pointing at it, so if you haven't seen it by now, I don't know where our eyes are. There it is. There is actually a family living inside the Pencil House. I don't quite understand how they managed that. It must be an awful lot of stairs and very, very little floor space.